Nepito no fai ho malele ngaku o whanongo he talamahea tane kolosi ai e kue ta e hautu I whakalewelewa. Si ai e kue e ta e hautu I whakalewelewa. Ko e siuwha ka hakonoa ai taulu a taweki o ma e tukumiki he api moa no e matakali Polinisia he tue tue kai fefe
O atanga pe avramalo sino ka koko e toko tahape. Pe mo ki nau tolo o ko mo no whakataha I ho siakare. Mana tu I ke tagawhi pe I e ngai feitu uku ke nofo ai. Pe mo tau he wā mama o mitai wā me he kakai ke he taimi koto ape. Ko I ngai feitu whaianga wainga o ko tahapuni. Pe kai ha feitu uku whakataha anga kakai whakamama o mei ai. Whakapapau I koe whakamalo sino ko ke whai e kai ala fie mau hau I tokoni whakavave ka hoko ha whakatamaki. Hange koe whaanifo, pe kaka mo unga. O ko atanga pe avramalo sino, ka koko e toko tahape. Pe, mo ki nau tolo, o ko mo no whakataha I ho siakare. Mana tu I ke tagawhi pe, I e ngai feitu uku ke nofo ai, pe mo tau he wā mama o mitai wā, me he kakai ke he taimi koto ape. Ko I ngai wheitu whaianga wainga, o ko tahapuni, pe kai ha wheitu o whakataha anga kakai, whakamama o mei ai. Whakapapau I koe whakamalo sino ko ke whai, e kai ala fie mau, hau I tokoni whakavave ka hoko ha whakatamaki. Hange koe whaanifo, pe kaka mo unga.
Malo elele, malo taulava ki he whalau malie, my beautiful Tongan community. In the name of Jesus Christ, I want to welcome you all to our Tuesday episode for Pacific Health Talanoa. I am so humbled and I'm so excited to have a very, very special guest on our Pacific Health Talanoa today, the 7th of September 2021. Malo elele, koe tau porokalama Talanoa mo uilele eni I ka inga Pasifiki, o ku au fia ke whakawhailoa ki atu a John Pulu, ke mā Talanoa whikau aki mo I wike o ku katoa ngai e lea whakatonga I Aotearoa. Malo elelei John Pulu.
Iui, toto atu apito toko ua malo, apito Lorenzo, and aute whaatalo whātu malo, le se fua maua malelangi, mama whakatulo atu hou eiki, ha amata pore, pe kou fia apito. I'm very, very honored to be part of this wonderful Talanoa to continue celebrating our beautiful language here in Aotearoa. It's the second year in a row that we have to celebrate in lockdown, but hey, we won't let COVID or lockdown stop us. We can still do that virtually, and we're doing our bit to continue, growing and preserving our beautiful language. But malo apito ofalahi atu.
Awesome. Ofatu, John Pulu, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're a very, very busy man. You're one of the community leaders that's,
Malo.
constantly promoting our Tongan Language Week. But to have you on our show today, wow, what a bonus. Now,
Pleasure.
the theme for this year's Language Week for Tonga is enriching Aotearoa with holistic education,
Ko
or
ia.
in Tongan, whakakoloa o Aotearoa aki ai akolelei.
Ko ia.
I think Sana has our very first question for you, Mr. Mayor.
Malo.
Hey, before I kick off my first question, it's so nice to reconnect with you, John.
Malo.
We've worked alongside each other
That's right.
at Pacific Cooperation Foundation. And honestly, I can't think of a better person that has served the Tongan community here in New Zealand so well and with so much
Malo.
pride. I'm so happy that as my debut as Lorenzo's co-host,
Let's go.
yeah, I'm so happy that I get to interview my very good friend. So,
Malo sis.
John.
Malo pita ngawe Susanna. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, JP. So John, given this year's theme, enriching Aotearoa with holistic education,
Yeah.
what does holistic education mean to you?
Well, the key word is education, and that is so vital in terms of educating our young people today so they can continue passing on our language and culture to the next generation. We're doing so well with our ECEs, our churches, as well as different community initiatives like the Amatakiloa for our tertiary students to perform our whaiva. So it's all in that word of educating and passing on that taonga, as they say in Maori, or the koloa, and enriching others, as well as teaching other people, because we live in a diverse community here in Aotearoa. So why not teach your community, others that are non-Tongans? And now that Tongans are, marrying other cultures as well, it's beautiful to celebrate being diverse in this wonderful place that we call Aotearoa. So that's education for me. It's passing it on to the next generation, and then that's a domino effect. We continue that and help enrich the next person, and it just goes on from there.
Beautiful.
Alo
Thank
toko.
you.
So speaking of education, John Pulu,
Yeah.
and you being a New Zealand born and an advocate for the Tongan language now on media and anywhere, people follow you because they admire the Tongan you are. How did you manage to to be able to speak Tongan fluently?
Yeah. Malo pito Lorenzo. Look, I was very fortunate to be born in Tonga, even though I'm Hawaiian. No, I'm kidding. I wish. But I was born in Tonga. Came here when I was about 9 years old because my father came to build a church in Whāvona in Mangere. So that's the whole reason our migration story to this beautiful place called Aotearoa. And we lived in Mangere first before we moved to Otahuhu, because I'm a diehard Otahuhu boy. But that's a little background about my journey to Aotearoa. But I always spoke Tongan at home and found it very funny and difficult at times, going out of home and then speaking and changing to this English language kind of society that we're in. And I was often, struggling in the beginning, when I first came to New Zealand, because as I'm not an English speaker myself. So over the years, I've grown to enjoy the arts. And that for me was my way of expressing myself. And I found out about broadcasting, which is what I do now. And I did some work experience at Tagata Pasifika at TVNZ. And the pathway for me to get to that job, I had to study. So, education for me was my key to get to where I am today. And long story short, I was fortunate enough to study at AUT. I did my 3-year course in broadcasting, and then fast forward, now back with Tagata Pasifika. But I do this job because I'm a big fan of preserving language and our history and culture, because one day I won't be here. But what we're doing now is helping tell our stories that help educate other Tongans or Polynesians. And then, hopefully one day they'll be looking through some of our old stories, and maybe they'll be watching this. So hello to you in the future. They'll watch this and say, wow, this is how far our community have come with, being Pacific in Aotearoa. So it's yeah, I just absolutely love our community. We come from a rich cultural background, and we have to pay our homage to our ancestors who sailed the biggest ocean, and that has continued with leadership in our community, with our ancestors, are doing what they've have done to help make sure they've laid the foundation, and now they've built the fale, and now we continue building that. We work on the roof, the ceiling, and everything else to continue that. I guess it's metaphorically speaking, ko heriaki, as we say in Tongan. But I guess we just build on that, and then when the next generation come, they start building the next house. So that's been the goal, and I'm really thankful for the people around me. You never work alone when you're in media. There's a team, and I acknowledge your team, Lorenzo, that work with you, because we can't ever do this alone. There's always someone or a team that help you put a story or news or audio together. So I acknowledge the village mentality. Sorry, that was the longest answer in the whole entire universe.
To be very honest, I'm getting comments from our viewers, and they'll say, man, just allow John Pulu to talk as much as he wants. But anyway,
Sorry.
John Pulu, before Susanna asks her next question, now you mentioned that the holistic approach, listening to you, and now we're building the fale, the ceiling, the roof, the foundation. And I apologize for getting your biography mixed up. I meant to say a Tongan born, brought up in New Zealand. Blame Google. Blame Google.
Must have been my TikTok account.
My question for you, John Pulu, is as a broadcaster and an advocate for our Tongan language, is our government doing enough? And do we have enough resources to make sure that we will have many John Pulu in the future?
I think that'll be a problem if we have too many of me, but we need more Susanna, Lorenzo's in our community. Look, we've come a long way. Of course, there's always need for improvements. We would love more funding, especially for our ECE centres. Of course, that would always be the plan, to have more funding and support. But we have come a long way. We've acknowledged the hurt from the past with the Dawn raids recently. So we're moving forward. We're using our language on national television. We have Indira Moala Stewart, we have Laura Tupo on TV3. We're seeing our faces on the big screen. It's not just Tagata Pasifika anymore. It's growing from there. So I'd like to acknowledge, people like Lisa Tauma with the crew at Fresh TV, Coconut, as well as other programs, that are with Oscar Kitely, that's hosting the program on Sky. They've all started. Some of them have started with Tagata Pasifika, so it's the foundation there. They've now branched out and continued to tell our stories, but using various mediums. And I'm really, really thankful, that the government is, this current government. Every government comes in with a plan, and so far there is an acknowledgement to help keep our ECEs, places like PEC, that are helping with educating our people. And if I'm correct, most of these classes are free. Some of these classes you can learn online, so it's great that people can, access these wonderful resources and these knowledge holders and learn and just grow, because there's a hunger for it. There's a lot of people that are married, either married to a Tongan or are born here and are wanting to get in touch with their roots. And it just makes me a little bit mafana, and I almost, get into just cry like a baby when I see young kids dressed, when if they're Samoan, if they're wearing the ula fala or wearing a ta'avala or kia, when they're acknowledging who they are, it's so beautiful. And if that's how they are when they're young and they're excited about their culture and roots, imagine when they continue and grow and learn deeply about the depth of our language and history. So, yeah.
Wow.
But I think we are moving in the right direction. Yes.
It's so funny how you mentioned that there are a lot of Tongans marrying outside of their culture, because my father's actually married to a Tongan, Anahila. And growing up, it's so funny because there's always this friendly banter between who's better, Tongan, Samoa. But at the end of the day, we're all Pacific, and we need to just get along, I guess. But
Yes.
but I've learned a lot about the Tongan culture through my stepmother. And yeah, I've learned to appreciate and I greatly admire the Tongan culture.
Yeah.
I mean, man, you guys know how to throw a party when it comes to birthdays and wedding day.
We don't muck around. There's only like 10 pigs and 100 mats, but nothing much.
No, it's so awesome.
Oh,
So, John, just adding
yeah.
on from what Lorenzo, has touched upon with
Yeah.
your career, with your experience in the media industry for so many years,
Yeah.
how are you dealing with all the misinformation that we're
Mm.
now seeing on a daily basis about COVID-19 and the vaccine?
Yeah, very interesting and very timely with this whole misinformation that's happening. You know, COVID is spreading, and so are the misinformation that's spreading as well. So it is important that people, I encourage people to do their own research. Of course, we don't want to just keep feeding you information, but we're working with people in the Ministry of Health. We're working with actual doctors, medical professionals, and those who are experts in the particular area. So we're talking about COVID here. So we speak to those who are well aware, those who are at the coalface, the front line, who do this kind of work. So we talk to them and get their point of view, and we leave it for the people to make their decision. So at the end of the day, we can present and give them the information, but it is hard when you're going up against, there's a lot of misleading news. For example, I know that Tonga is going through a drug problem, and someone posted something about they found a little boat. It looks like an under like a submarine or something like that, and they're saying, oh, it might be drugs, but this is someone on social media telling everyone else, and then someone corrected and said, no, that's actually like a beacon that you put out in the ocean. So people can twist stories, and I'm just reminding our people, we don't want to keep telling you what to do, and we don't want to take control of your thoughts and the decisions you make, but I do encourage you to look around as well. Do your own homework with the Unite Against COVID-19 website. There's also, it's available in our different languages, so people can read in our own dialects and learn about the issue at hand. It is difficult. But if you want the real factual information, go to the Ministry of Health. If it's not the government, find another a source. When you just know when it's a little bit funny when the information's coming through and it's a little bit too true to be, too good to be true. Sorry, it's quite interesting because there is a lot in our Pacific community. And it's really sad because it can really do harm to our community. And, I know of cases in Tonga, there's a lot of misinformation with church leaders. Even church leaders are jumping on board and, are not supporting the vaccine movement in Tonga. Their Majesties, King Tupawono and Queen Nasipau, have been leaders. They've done their vaccination in public, so everyone can see. But everyone does have a right to make their own decision. So my advice is just do your own homework and have a little look around. I know people. I saw a good friend of mine on Facebook. He was on the fence about getting vaccinated, but after doing his own research, he's now gone and got it done with his family. So, it's totally up to you, but I'm obviously, I'd rather be safe than have no protection as well, being a person that's always out and about. So we get to film, obviously with following the level 4 guidelines. So I just want to make myself safe when I come home to my family. I don't bring any anything bad to make sure they're okay and not sick.
Oh man, Malo Beto, John Pulu, we're so blessed to have you. You're very talented. I know there's a question that I want to ask specifically about this interview, but I'll leave it last. But I just want to come back to the misinformation. I want to come back to the misinformation, John Pulu. With all the racist, negative comments being made and directed to our people about, the spreading of Delta in the community, as a broadcaster and as a reporter, a director, a presenter for a mainstream media, have you ever been pressured to say, hey, hang on, enough of all this, all these negative comments about my community, about my people? Why not name the person that got affected for the one that got affected with Delta in North Shore? Have you ever been pressured by our people or by anybody else to say, hey, would you want to name that person or even mention the ethnicity of that person in a North Shore, John Pulu?
I haven't experienced that, but I can talk about the racism that's happening. And it's sad that in a very sad time, challenging time like this, that racism still, is brought up like that. And that is a sad thing that some people are still stuck in that small little box that New Zealand is not a diverse nation. So it really hurts me. And I reacted as a human being first, and I was so angry that happened. And, I could use other colorful language when I first heard about, because when the first case popped up, we never knew the ethnicity. We never heard of the church they belonged to. And, it's just very sad, that, some of the media people out there that are using the South Auckland tagline as a clickbait, and that always is, bringing more views because it's always negative stuff. But what we do with the stories that we work on is promote our community. And that's why I got into this, was that we are doing amazing things in South Auckland. Look at the numbers of people that got tested. Pasifika, we have the highest number of people getting tested. Of course, we needed to do more to, help push people with the vaccination program. But it's happening right now. We've got a Tongan vaccination program that's happening this Thursday. There's also a Niuean one that's happening later this month. So we are working on it. But people neglect to add that in, when they broadcast. But I guess, some people abuse the privilege of media for their likes, clickbait, and all the things that can bring the attention to their article. Because at the end of the day, there's many news mediums here, and everyone wants your attention. So obviously, it's sad that they use South Auckland as a way to pull in people and read their article or watch the story. But yeah, it's terrible what's happening. But you know what? My message to people who are racist towards anyone, it's you either hop on and be part of this beautiful nation that we embrace Aotearoa, and we come from different places to make this nation great. And, it's already been a fantastic foundation laid by our Tagata whenua, and we come here and help with enriching this nation. And if you don't want to be part of it, please don't, you're missing out, because we're all beautiful and amazing. I mean, look at these gorgeous looking people right now. You like the segue there? Back to you.
Thanks, JP. Just I just want to ask another question that's related to the last one. What do you think about David Seymour's public release of private information that was meant to be for at-risk Māori communities?
Yeah, well, we didn't do that with our stuff at Tagata Pasifika in terms of, publicly giving out. Sometimes it is, the good side, I guess. It's a double-ended sword here. The good side, you can help prepare your community. Oh, it's a Tongan person. Oh, okay, good for us to know, so we can, tell our community to look out. But at the other end is obviously racism. So it's not working. And it's very sad that unfortunately our Samoan ainga have been targeted because of that. And the fact that they've listed the name of the church, and for a particular person or group to send negative messages, I think that's not the right way to do it right now. So just to protect people's safety as well, people are very vocal online, and sometimes you can't stop them because they can just send a message and leave it for you to read it. So, yeah, I think we'll have to rethink that one.
Awesome. Thanks, JP. Just heading back into Tongan Language Week, this is probably a nice light question. But who is someone that you greatly admire in your family or in the wider Tongan community, and why?
I have to look into my own family. My father, who passed away years ago, he was a forward thinker, someone who was a carpenter. As I mentioned, that's why we came to New Zealand. But he made sure my siblings and I all had a home in Tonga. So he made sure to build a house for us. And that for me, was great. The physical house but looking at what his plans were for the future was that he won't be here, but he was planning a legacy. And that's something that's inspired me with the work that I do, and I hope that the work I'm doing is my legacy here to help inform and educate our community. Because one day, as I mentioned, I won't be here, but hopefully, what we're setting the foundation here can help make life a little bit better for the next generation. So that's my inspiration has always been, from my own household with my papa who passed away, that he did that for us, make sure, that we literally have a roof above our head. The house is still there. He built this house. It's in town. It's since 1970s. And it's stood against the big cyclones and whatnot. We just had a few leaks and whatnot. So whatever he did to build the house, thank you, Dad. Thank you. You're amazing. You're amazing.
Wow. Your papa would be very, very proud of you, John Pulu, the man that you have become, the leader that you have become. You're just eye for ocean. I guess my next question is as non-COVID or non-Tongan language week related. But someone asked me the other day, and if you ever see John Pulu again, can you ask this question? Where did he get that voice from? How did you, is it something that you trained and that you learned from your studies, or were you just born with it?
Yeah.
We're just blessed, with with your broadcasting voice.
You know what, Lorenzo, it's funny you mentioned that, because you know how you use your voice like this. I never knew I had an accent, but apparently people are like, why do you talk like you're on radio all the time? And I'm like, who, me? So it's funny. I reckon I'm an old soul, and growing up around my parents, the way I speak, I guess it's reflective of how people around me. So I guess coming to New Zealand, learning more, and I guess it helps with broadcasting as well. The clarity of your diction and things like that for presenting is helpful. But I still think, I still struggle with some big English words. I'm like, who needs English? I want to speak our beautiful, our Pacific languages. It's funny. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes even my other half, Elisa, she's like, you need to break out of your broadcaster tone. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'll have a family pack takeaway with Radio 531 PI. I don't know. And now I just do it for fun now, doing, the little voice breaks.
Wow.
But back to you, Lorenzo.
Practice makes, you can get better with only practicing. But anyway, John Pulu, do you have any final comments to encourage our young Tongans who are very, very shy to speak the Tongan te reo whamorimori?
Malo pito, Lorenzo. Look, we saw the energy and the mawhana that the Mate Tonga rugby league team brought to the game, and they all left. The players all left, their big contracts, the big dollars they could have made playing overseas. And it was part of that sacrifice, humility, coming back to serve your nation. And that, for me, spoke a lot of volume. It made a lot of volume. And I'm sure that inspired young Tongans. And it was so awesome to see many Tongans from different parts of Aotearoa, as well as different parts of the globe, showing their Tongan flag. They were embracing being proud of being Tongan. And I think if you have that laumari, or that feeling inside you, that you want to embrace, please bring it out, and don't do it on just Tongan Language Week. Do it every day, every hour, every minute, every second, and do it with your family. Embrace who you are. Learn more about our culture, because the saddest thing is that we're all, even us Tongans, if we don't hold on to our language, it'll disappear. So my encouragement is hold on to it now. Puke puke e tau ulunganga whakatonga, our Tongan customs and ways. Otherwise, it'll be lost. I've been to other places, not in the Pacific, and you meet people, and I'm like, what's your greeting? What's hello? And he said, hello. So they've been colonized so many times, this particular country, that they don't have their own identity. And when you don't have identity, it's a sad thing. And with our identity, it connects us to the land, to our otua, with all the work that we do. So that's my word of encouragement, and thank you to everyone that's doing their part to use all our Tongan language, the good language that is, not the naughty language that you use. But I just want to acknowledge and say thank you to everyone for embracing our Tongan Language Week. Ako lele, and the ako is not just for the Tongan Language Week, but all day long, every year, all the time. So malo apito ofalahi atu.
Thank you so much, John Pulu. No words can explain how much and how blessed we are to have you on the Pasifika of Talanoa on Blue TV. Thank you so, so much. Malo aupito. We can only pray to our God to bless you with many more talents and to bless New Zealand, Aotearoa, and the whole globe with many, many more, John Pulu, to serve our community wholeheartedly. Thank you so much, Toko Uso.
Malo aupito Lorenzo, ofalahi atu Susanna, and to our producer, Malo aupito also. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Enjoy the rest of our week o kukatoa ngā e re whakatonga Tongan Language Week. Malo aupito.
Malo aupito. Let's end our interview Talanoa with John Pulu with this TikTok. I want to honor all our Tongan viewers, listeners, and the whole Tongan community. Happy Tongan Language Week. God bless.
Malo.
Take my hand and don't let go. I'm addicted to your loving. But if you should know how my love goes, then baby stay close. Take my hand and don't let go. I'm addicted to your loving. But if you should know how my love goes, then baby stay close. You won't ever have to cry. No, no. So wipe them tears from your eyes. As long as you're by my side, you won't shed no tears, 'cause everything will be just fine. As long as you don't let go. Don't let go. Don't let go. No, 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 no. Don't let go. Baby, please, don't let go. Everything will be just fine as long as you stay by my
Squad, baby. Rex, J. Sands. Oh, say I'm a say you are complete to me, Agelio. By the way that you move and the way that you smile. Say, oh my Dorima, baby, you be giving your hand, I'll take you anywhere. You give me something that I never had. 'Cause you care, but about to me and the family. Say, why you waiting for me to talk to you? Yeah, I'ma listen what y'all say. Yeah, don't move out in the come here. Yeah, they on the nail, to dirty wine, girl, dirty wine. Yeah, say, tama in and not the bite, say.